And we are here. Nope. And we are here on Go Go Astros, our first ever live edition, which means we're going to see if we can figure out exactly how this goes. But the Houston Astros are, in fact, your American League champions. This is going to be just a great year, and I'm just very excited. Obviously, what an amazing time to be an Astros fan. Oh, here comes. And as we talk about winning that, Ed Rivera is here. Ed, Dad Hat Chronicles.
What's up, my friend? How
Hey,
we
man.
doing? Congratulations, man.
Thanks. I like knowing that you were there with us, man. You were like,
I was watching as a Cleveland fan. I can tell you that I was very happy to see this. It was very fulfilling to see a Yankees team just finally just go down. I couldn't be happier for you.
especially first of all, we're having a little bourbon. Um,
Cheers to you, my friend.
I'm not allowed to get champagne on these events because my wife thinks it jinxes the team.
Yeah, no, you hold it until that last one.
Yeah, which obviously we'll get to at some point. But yeah, it was. I think the crazy thing for me about this series was how, like, obviously baseball's weird and and everything, but how really relatively uncompetitive it felt like it was. So I don't know, man. It was fun to be a part of. It's a let me tell you, Ed, this is a period in Astros history which I never thought would be possible.
It's weird to think of this way, right? Obviously, I'm a Guardians fan, and I was very happy to see the Yankees lose and all that. But it was the way that I thought that the Yankees were going to be a lot more competitive in this series, right? I thought, be honest with you, I thought it was going to go seven, right? Because it was like
Mhm.
very evenly matched teams. Like, I mean, that lineup by the Yankees is just potent, right? Full of, like, nothing but home run hitters and all that. And I could not believe that they just sucked that bad.
And speaking of, uh, Andy Tom Cheston is here. We've got
My
Ed Rivera.
my iPad may be on the verge of dying, so I'm trying to desperately find a power cord and a cube in my house. So bear with me.
As this is the first time Craig Harmon's watching. Yeah, I get it, Craig. Sparky's gonna get wet. And you've never seen a post game celebration like our our color guy on the radio.
Hey, listen, I'm still watching it. Look at that, still behind me, still in
Yeah.
the back, watching it. I watched the Phillies game earlier today, and now I'm watching this one. It is, I'm on Eastern time. It is midnight, past midnight here.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
some of us are old and we go to bed before now anyway.
Dude, I am.
If this was a regular season game, I would be sleeping right now.
bro. If there was a season, if this was the regular season, forget it. There's no way I would have been watching this.
Or I would be up, and then my kids could tell by my mood whether we won or lost.
Right.
I would be pissed off. Andy, I was just telling Ed, like, growing up, we never could have imagined this as
no.
I mean, talk about a little bit about what it's like to, and out. I don't know if Ephus Tosser is watching this now or watch it later, but yes, Andy and I do count outs. I know that
we were counting.
Oh, I was counting.
You count, and you count if you're going to win a pennant. I think that's an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm floored again. I mean, you knew going up 3-0, this is something that's going to be, and I apologize because I'm watching. Oh, they finally put out a shirt that I might buy. Okay.
These hats have been horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
man.
I was really scared watching the Phillies clinch because I thought for a minute that they were trucker hats again, and I was gonna because New Era was pushing those pretty hard, but. Okay, I just love Yuli. Yuli was waving Presley to throw the ball to him the entire way to first base.
Did they name an MVP yet?
They have not yet.
I think it should be Craig Harmon, our first ever viewer on Twitter.
They were they're speculating that it might be Bregman, but they have not said anything yet.
I mean, think about it this way, right? Like the Yankees go up 3, and then you're like, oh, here we go, right? Like, I mean, but then that home run by Pena. I mean, that was right there. Like every time the Yankees scored, Astros right behind it. Like, no. Hold on. This is our game, not yours.
The funny thing is our private message, Ed, me and Andy are like, okay, as long as we just wear out the bullpen, we'll win tomorrow. Like it was never right, Andy.
Well, I mean, that's 45 plus years of being an Astros fan that will do that to you pretty easily. Just survive and get to tomorrow
with some level of respectability left.
Yeah. We don't need a 10-1 loss. No, just really incredibly proud of the team and the way they played, and just that thankfully they don't give up as quickly as Astros Twitter might have given up, or maybe some people in the darkest moments of their text messages to their friends might have given up.
Right.
There may be somebody on this call right now that said ball game when they went up 3-0, or the Yankees went up 3-0. I don't know who that was.
Ed, there might be somebody on this call who's already, winning the AL is nice, but we've got another underachieving NL East team coming at us. I don't know if we can.
Honestly, that team was the Yankees were just like, you could tell they didn't have it in them. They just didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, just watching that last at bat from Judge, and I think you're exactly right. But he looked like he would rather be anywhere else but at bat.
They were done. They were done. The only one that was like really that I thought like was like, all right, this dude is like here to play it was Bader.
Yeah.
Rookie kid, right? I mean, he hit a bunch of bombs against my team. Let's be,
Well, he's got that special. I've got to show the Cardinals they traded me what they traded away.
Yeah.
Now we got a party going. We've got Brian Arbor from Breathing Orange Fire. Also, look at this. Brian, we've been talking. I don't know how much you've seen, but I'm going to remove the overlays.
That is actually a great idea, Brian. I'd be right back.
I got some bourbon. Ed's got whatever Ed's got.
I got water just because, after this, I'm headed straight to bed.
Oh, yeah. I almost took a sick day tomorrow, and I'm regretting not doing that. Brian, just real quick, we've been kind of chatting about this. Overall, your sentimentality, let it out. You never really thought this would be possible when you were an Astros fan, because you remember losing to the Phillies, right? So we can look forward to all those flashbacks, by the way.
Yeah, and I was 7, and we'd moved to Houston in August that year. So I have memories that happened. I don't remember anything from watching the series. This when one point, I'm married to a Red Sox fan. This is before we had our kid. We lived in a different, town. We were going to the Astros, playing an interleague game at Yankee Stadium, and we were going to the game. I'm getting dressed beforehand, putting on a Yankee shirt, and Aaron asked me, "Hey, what are people going to say about you? What are things?" Well, you're a Red Sox fan. Everyone has an opinion about you.
with the ball eyes.
Some people hate you because you keep going, but everyone has an opinion about you. I will enter Yankee Stadium. This must be like 2011. I will be greeted with complete and total indifference. And that was the Astros from when we all became Astros fans in the 80s until 2017. And since then, we are the most relevant team in baseball, for good or for ill. We are the most talked about team in baseball, for good or for ill. And I'll quote here Jeff Passan, who sent this tweet several times. The Astros are inevitable, both as a high-quality baseball team and as the thing so many people hate. And to everyone who hates the Astros, you're going to cheer for Philly fan because that. Cheers.
Jeff just compared us to Thanos.
Interesting take. Okay.
We're inevitable.
I love it. I want to talk to Ed just real quick, or ask you just a really quick Guardians question now that you're on here.
Yeah.
You're famous for not being a super big fan of the new brand.
Correct.
Did the playoff run help you? And you guys weren't expected to be here. So what was
No.
that like, just sort of getting that experience?
So, I'll say this. One, it didn't help. I still don't like the G. I got a bunch of stuff for it. I like their C. Their C is better than the last block C, as you can see behind me. That's the old one. The new one I like. As for the team, when I saw what they did during the preseason and all that, I said they're going to be third or fourth team in our division, right?
Yeah.
I had the White Sox winning that division. I was like, that team is loaded. They cannot lose. They are just that good of a team. It was then Minnesota.
Unfortunately, Tony La Russa was also loaded, and
every single day. Right. So that's the honest truth. So, we were playing with house money. It's just the way it went. I was very happy. I was super proud of the team. The youngest team to make the playoffs, right? Like youngest team to win the division. I mean, Tito, and then we got a bunch of Gold Glove nominees, in our team. So I'm super proud, super happy. I wish it would have gone differently. There was a lot,
Well, yeah, you guys were the victim of what we thought we would be the victim of, the MLB front office.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They.
I don't know about you, Brian, but I think the Guardians would have been a tougher out than the Yankees, actually.
I mean, I expect they would have won a game. So yes.
Well, I think that the pitching that Cleveland would have put up against us would have made the games a lot more entertaining. I mean, it was a good series for us, but once we got leads, I mean, honestly, except for tonight, it felt like the games were over.
Right. Like you guys went at them, the right way. I guess, right? Like, I mean, it was just the Yankees could not hit. I mean, you got Judge who is batting less than 200 for that series. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I think the thing that was interesting about all of it too, and it was how quickly, and I know, Brian, you go to these games, how quickly Yankee fan turned on the Yankees and even Aaron Judge, like the guy that they want to come back. I don't know. Andy, thoughts on that?
They really don't like Josh Donaldson. I mean, they really don't like Josh Donaldson. And
I didn't like him in Cleveland.
Mouth shut, so it's a really great combination.
Our friend of the show, Emily Nyman, actually, I guess he argued with the ball on a strike, and she begged the umpire to kick him out of the game.
Please get him out of there.
Well, this last at bat, he got rung up on just a very obvious called strike. And
I mean, it was a beautiful pitch.
Bitched about it for 15 seconds.
Look, he needed some support tonight from the stands, and that's why he brought in Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is like if you ordered Wolverine off of Wish.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I love the fact that everybody knew he was a Rangers fan, right? Like even Ed knew. He's like, "Come here." It cracked me up.
Like I texted you, I was like, "Hold on a second, I thought he was a Rangers fan." Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I'm not even from Texas. Like I'm in North Carolina, right? Like, I mean, come on now.
We've got Jay on the line. Yeah, Jay, Presley and Abreu. Obviously, we know what we're getting out of Presley. What I'm so excited about was the fact that the team never gave up on Abreu. And look, we did the same thing to Josh James. We never gave up on him until injury. But yeah, guys, I mean, Brian Abreu, he's a weapon now. There's no other way around it, right?
Well, and he had a rough go. COVID really derailed him because he was, after 2019, he was supposed to be the next big thing, and came into camp overweight, and then had the delay that everybody had to deal with because of COVID. And by the time he got into the abbreviated redo of spring training or July training or whatever you want to call that, he had Jeremy Pena is your ALCS MVP.
Good for him. Good for the kid.
Sorry to break that.
I was just going to talk about that kid. God.
But yeah, with Abreu, he gained a bunch of weight, got left. He did not play in 2020. Didn't even get invited to the little mini thing they had going on in Corpus. last year was a struggle for him, and he really kind of rededicated both himself mentally and physically. Lost a ton of weight, where you can actually see how long his damn arms are now because they are. He got the extensions. I mean, there's no way that's bionic.
His shoulders.
Yeah.
But Brian, let's talk Pena, right? Like, it's well documented that the Astros seemed not at all bothered about letting Correa go. It's also well documented that I'm the only one on this show who didn't like that decision because I'm like, how can we go back to the World Series with the rookie shortstop? I mean, this is proof why I'm talking about baseball, not running a baseball team. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wrote on my Substack at the beginning of the year. Jose Altuve was quoted saying Jeremy Pena is going to be a superstar, and I said, okay, Jose Altuve is an outstanding baseball player. I'm not sure he's a great scout, though. I'm not sal Pedrique, who's the scout who signed Jose Altuve, and so I owe an apology to Jose Altuve. He's a much better scout of baseball talent than I thought. Because Jeremy Pena, ALCS MVP, superstar.
What is it like watching him on the other side, Ed? I mean, like, here's a guy that you think to yourself, he's coming up in the lineup. I've never heard of this dude. Easy out, right?
You just this has been the year of rookie players just showing off. You know what I mean? On the other side, look at let's go back to Bader on the Yankees side. Not a single home run during the regular season, goes into the playoffs and is just hitting bombs. You got Pena, who just, I mean, as soon as you knew he hit that ball, you knew that ball was gone in that game, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, rookies have just been crushing.
Massive change of everything about the game.
Yeah, I mean, I was preparing for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Pena had his rough spots this year. I mean, he started off really well, and then July, August felt he kind of hit the wall, not just from an offensive standpoint, but there were a bunch of us, maybe some people on the show, me included, that were kind of, okay, why is he not able to field the ball all of a sudden? Because there were footwork issues, there were kind of just lazy routes to balls and just weird stuff. And once September rolled around, I mean, he just picked it right back up. Like he took whatever that next step was, he took that next step and made that adjustment. And he hasn't stopped so far in the playoffs, which I'm super thankful for, because he, won Game 3 by himself pretty much in Seattle, and it was big again tonight.
And the thing about both of his home runs too, I mean, we can talk about of course, this is going to be a quote we talk about with new Yankee Stadium all the time of Little League home runs, right? Like, hello, Chris Woodward. But his home run in Seattle was straight away to a deep center field. And if you saw
a big park,
in a big park, and then the home run
was the ball was not carrying that day at all.
Not at all. Well, clearly 18 innings a run. And then you had the one tonight where the wind was swirling, and that was a tank job. That was nothing, no doubt about it. It's crazy to see how confident he is, because usually with the rookie, to your point, Ed, when you see them come up close in big situations, but you think to yourself, okay, next time he sees this, but this is next time. And I even think they say the same thing about Hunter Brown.
If I was as good looking at Jeremy Pena, I'd be more confident too.
All right. I was only half watching, so I may have this wrong, but they let Kate down on the field after they did the award thing, so she went and hugged Justin, and then Brian Abreu was standing very near them and looked like he was reaching for a hug that he did not get.
Oh.
That may not have been a fit. That's
so we can all say
on the video monitor.
Only starting pitchers are in the circle of trust for the Kate hug.
We all can say we have something in common with Brian Abreu, because we too would not get the Kate Upton hug if we.
It's fair.
True story.
I believe the bullpen guys have to hug Kat Presley, who was the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Not
Yeah.
No.
Baseball player, big equalizer. What was the biggest surprise? We'll go just around the chat. We'll start with Andy. Just the biggest surprise going into this game for you, or this series, for you.
Just how unprepared the Yankees. You mean of the series or going into the series?
Just the whole I guess
just how unprepared the Yankees were to face our pitching. I don't. The Astros felt like most of these games, and I didn't really feel this way against Seattle, but that we had an actual plan to how we were going to face their starting pitching. You saw it yesterday with Cole. We were going to make him work really hard and try to get him out of the game early by throwing a bunch of pitches. That was an approach that everybody had up and down the lineup to get to their bullpen, which was the weakest parts because they, for whatever reason, held back their two best relievers until tonight. I can understand Yankees fans who are a little bit over Brett Boone at this point, having watched.
He should get
series.
fired.
I'm also of the opinion that Brian Cashman he's got to be done. I don't know what Steinbrenner's, I don't know what Howell's thinking, but that Cashman's been there since 2005.
Earlier than that, like 98, I want to say.
But as GM,
yes.
And it doesn't appear to be getting any better, and he's now taken to blaming the Astros in 2017 for the reason that the New York hasn't made a World Series since for 13 years now.
Yeah. Well, I think you should definitely blame the Astros for not making the World Series, because this is 3 times we've stopped them from getting to the World Series.
No, sure, Brian, redo your. I guess you're right, World Series, but this is the 4th time we've ended the season.
Mm-hmm.
Which indirectly prevents somebody from going to the World Series.
Right.
Had we forfeited those previous ALCSs.
Yeah. And as a neutral observer, what surprised you the most coming in?
Something that I kept thinking about, and this happened during my our series with the Guardians, is the majority of the runs came from the long ball, right? Home run ball.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of strikeouts with that series, right? You would think that they would, try to at least adjust a little bit and try to play a little bit of small ball against the Astros. And I guess call it their arrogance, right? I was like, no, we're the Yankees. We're the Bronx Bombers. We're going to go in there and we're going to just out-homer everybody. And you didn't. Like, there was no adjustment done in any of the single games at all. And then on top of that, the fact that you're blaming a roof over losing a game, that says a lot about that was, and I said it on Twitter, that's loser mentality.
Well, right, the incredible irony is the Yankees front office is the one who complained about the roof being closed because of the crowd noise. Hey, it's a Phillies fan.
Hey, sorry, how I stumble in here? What happened here? It's
who's that guy?
I'm not sure how that happened. The Phillies fans are doing a lot of stumbling right now.
They're climbing those greasy poles.
Yeah. Paul, I want you to answer that question here in a second. I want to hear from Brian real quick about what just surprised you most about the series. Then I'll give you mine. And Paul, I got to find out about these greasy poles because that's confusing the shit out of me.
Well, we in Philadelphia, we have something of a history of climbing poles in Center City. There's a couple of spots in Center City where fans will congregate after these games, and they will literally climb like the light posts and just hang on them. And one guy got up on one in spite of the fact that it was greased today and chugged a beer. And
I saw that.
Yeah. So in commemoration, I live in Colorado, so I wasn't able to be there. Though my brother is trying to come up with tickets for me for October 31, November 1 and 2. So hoping to be there. But the city will literally grease the poles to keep people from climbing them. And
first of all, Paul, congratulations on the
hey,
Phillies
you guys
season.
too. You guys look dominant out there.
Second of all, that was my real question. Are the poles greased because they're trying to prevent people from climbing the poles? Are the poles greased just to increase the level of difficulty?
Oh yeah, they're trying to make
they've
it
mastered it already.
They're trying to make it a challenge. Exactly.
I earned that climb.
That's amazing. Brian, just real quick, like what surprised you the most about this series going into it?
Yeah, I think it's that the Astros we talked about the strikeouts. The Astros got 50 strikeouts, about 35% of Yankee at-bats. They walked back to the dugout with a strikeout. But there was production from unexpected. We've talked a lot about Jeremy Pena. Chas McCormick had 2 huge home runs. Martin Maldonado looked like a major league hitter. The Astros got lots of contributions. Christian Vasquez had the very nice 2-run
Bottom of the
RBI
line
yesterday, which really salted the game away. So they didn't get a big series from Yordan Alvarez in particular, like they did in the ALDS. They got contributions from guys down the lineup, which they haven't gotten so much during the regular season. The lineup's been a little shorter this year. That was less the case here in the ALCS.
Paul, you answered the same question. Surprised you the most about the Astros-Yankees series going into it? And also, what were you thinking when Bryce Harper's home run cleared the wall?
I don't think I was thinking. Well, so Astros Yankees, I just didn't expect the Yankees to just look so listless. And I understand that that's 90% the Astros just boat raced them, right? Like, I mean, the Astros just looked awesome and just worked them. And but it sure made them look bad, right? Like the fact that they were selling $20 tickets to go to the game tonight because everyone knew, they just
blew my mind.
If anyone knows that a 3-0 lead is not insurmountable, it should be the Yankees, right? So, and then
as the Yankees reminded themselves of that.
Yeah,
right.
They watched videos of their own franchise getting punked.
That's crazy. That's
They're
crazy.
I got to say this. If the Astros showed their players some video of 2005, it might confuse them because they were in different uniforms in different colors. It's the same freaking uniform, right? It's the exact same look on the guys, just with,
The Bryce Harper home run, to answer that question, as a Phillies fan, I live in sort of a constant state of pessimism. And so I was immediately but my immediate thought was, I can't believe I just saw that. I can't believe I'm not at the ballpark. What a moment. I've never heard a sporting event louder than a Phillies playoff game. And so to see that and to think, God, I could have been there, right? Like my brother had a ticket for me and I'm like, I can't make it. And I immediately started thinking, who's pitching the ninth? And, of course, David Robertson comes in and walks 2 guys. And I'm just like, this is going to be the prototypical Phillies thing. They're going to.
Well, I got to give the preface to these guys. So you've been on our wishes for baseball Santa every year that we've had it. And every year you wish for a new bullpen. So I do. God, I hope that they hold this together.
And they've done pretty well with the bullpen this year. It's just, just after 3 straight days, especially after game 3 being a bullpen game, it was sort of, their bullpen was being held together by Frankenstein stitching. So I immediately started thinking, please, for Bryce, let this be worth it. Like, let that be the moment that sends us to the World Series, because I wanted it so bad for Bryce Harper, because like he came here and he loves Philly and Philly loves him. And so that was
a cool moment.
Really wanted that to be the moment. I was so glad it was.
I love that too, because he's the mercenary that's now part of that team. He's part of that city. By the way, we have breaking news that Chas McCormick also has a hot girlfriend. So we are.
Oh. It's like, was it the film The Program? I'm not. No, I'm sorry. Draft Day. I am not going to pick that guy. He doesn't have a hot girlfriend.
Oh no, it was Moneyball.
Moneyball. There you go.
Sorry. Lacks confidence. I want a guy who's, when he walks in the room, his dick's been there for 3 minutes.
Right.
By the way, if I disappear from the broadcast, it's because my phone was at 10%.
Well, before you disappear, I have an idea for a bet that I'm going to steal from Donnie Wise.
All right, let's hear it.
Whoever wins, so the Astros win, you have to buy a hat from one of the minor league affiliates. The Space Cowboys doesn't count because I already bought it.
I have to buy one that I don't already have.
You don't already have. And same thing. If the Phillies win, I get to
right. And I mean, there's a lot of great options. You could be a pecker.
Yeah.
You could be a hook. You could be a tourist.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I actually have
hats for
all 4 of those.
Oh, but they're Copa for the pecker. That's a good one.
The new Marvel for the hooks is actually pretty decent.
Yes. I'm still waiting to see what they're actually going to do with those treatments. Because it's one thing to have the cool logo. They haven't really shown how they're going to use them on the jerseys or the hats yet.
I got my opinions about this whole Marvel mashup. So
oh, they stink, right?
They all suck.
Yeah.
Brian's like, what the hell are they talking about?
I just interviewed Chris Creamer of sportslogos.net for the podcast, and I was just like, these stink, right? Like, they're terrible. And he says, yeah, they're terrible.
They're terrible.
They are.
But they're basically geared to appeal towards 8-year-olds, right?
They better be, because it's not for adults.
Brian, wanted to ask you too about the pitch usage, because I felt really smart after your Substack when everybody was like, why isn't Stanek going in? And even I was saying that. And I was like, let me tag Brian Arbor in this post to explain to you BAPIP and X, I don't know, all the words you know.
He's been a very fortunate guy this year.
If you want to sound smart, just use an acronym that no one else knows.
Or make one up.
Yeah. And so what I found is this both works. I'm a professor of political science in my day job, baseball blogger by night. And one, yes, I am that big of a nerd. And two, again, in both things, if you just use acronyms confidently, people assume you're really, people assume you know what you're talking about.
I'm into that. I'm into it.
I like it.
Too.
I hope you guys, did you see this here when I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep this is a stupid bet for people like us, because we're all
right. I'm like,
You might want to go jersey. Jersey's a little bit more
T-shirts.
Jersey, we can do jersey or t-shirt, Paul. You think about it, you sleep on it,
All right.
and you make the call.
All right.
Before we lose Paul, and first of all, I love your show. I love the interviews you do.
Thank you.
I have to say that I'm 51 years old, so there's a reason I'm saying that. The Candlelight League that I think it had to be first year kid pitch when I was a kid in Little League. I was drafted to be on the Phillies.
Oh yeah.
The Phillies had just beat the Astros in the division or the championship series. And I had a very healthy hatred of Mike Schmidt and Tug McGraw and a few other guys. And I actually, I'm not proud of this, but at 11 years old, started crying when I was drafted by the Phillies.
Oh, wow.
To the point that I got moved to the Braves, which wasn't much better. But at least at that point, I had no idea what kind of pain I was in for.
What you're saying, you're basically the Eli Manning of Little League.
I threw a
players.
fit. I was not proud of it, but I got my way.
Did you? I assume you guys have seen the Nolan Ryan documentary.
Yes.
And so I saw it in the theater actually here in Fort Collins, and in the middle of it, they're just like, oh, and it turns out Nolan Ryan is actually human because he had a 2-run lead in the 8th inning, and the Phillies came back and won Game 5, and everyone's just like, oh, that's a bummer. And I was just like, woo!
Yeah, that was the worst part of that documentary. Thank you.
And then they added in
when I watched
because in 19. I assume they added in because people in 1980 people didn't know the third time through the order penalty.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Brian was all over that tonight. Brian.
Well, when you only allow 1 or 2 hits a game, you don't really make it much past a third time through a lineup.
Right. Yeah. That series might be one of the best ever. By the way,
Oh,
I mean that.
Crap! The Seattle fans are gonna. I'm sorry. The Seattle fans are gonna cry because the Astros are literally dancing with brooms in the locker room.
Oh boy.
Well. Have you noticed, guys? Like, okay, so the funny thing about for Paul and Ed and like as we do our football show, we often are preparing me for the fact that Daryl, what's up, man? Oh, I got a funny story about Daryl in a minute, but no, they're trying to teach me how to be in the SEC, right? So now all of a sudden I'm seeing Seattle fan root, hey, yeah, fellow ALS team. Shut up. This isn't that.
And Paul's phone died.
And I was just gonna say, there goes Paul.
Paul was offended by your Philly story, Andy.
Sorry.
I was like, how dare you?
Sorry to run off the guests.
No, we have Daryl Mitchell on. He's an actor here in Austin, Texas, but he's related to Bucky Dent. Big Yankee fan. So thanks, man. Also, like one of the most sort of educated baseball fans ever.
For some reason, Bucky Dent has come up a bunch in the Astros pregame stuff on TBS because they were talking about launch. It was after the Bregman home run versus the Judge Nada home run when the roof was open. And, nobody knows what the launch angle was on Bucky Dent's home run. And I swear they said it 22 times.
At this point, it was the roof, guys. Okay, it wasn't the launch angle. It was the roof that was to blame for the lack of the home run.
We're coming to Philadelphia for 3, 4, and 5 with our own roof. We're not going to put up with this again.
And look, had there been a roof on Yankee Stadium today, Judge's ball in the third would have been a home run. But,
I'd
made
also
a
be
decision
asleep by
15
now.
years ago to make it open air, and well, that cost them tonight.
Hey, I'm on fumes right now. I get it. I'm like, it's 12:45 in the morning for me.
Same. I'm East Coast, so
Ugh.
Yeah, no, we are. I am. By the way, you, Andy and Brian, we're not recording Go Astros tomorrow.
yeah, gotcha.
We'll do a World Series preview so I can sleep in a little late.
That sounds fair.
But first of all, too, Ed, thanks for helping me get the live stream set up.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my friend.
I check in on y'all for the good folks at Curb Rim Media. It's also been really cute because Anna has been checking in on me because I feel bad for Anna and I have to tag her in this post because she texted me like, how you doing? And I went into this immediately like, you're my baseball therapist. Let me explain to you why I can't watch the games. And I think she's like, just write back fine. And that's what I would like to hear. So
exactly. Showbiz 77.
What is that? Yeah, Daryl, I don't understand that. I don't understand the whole let's call it like you're the Yankees. You know what I mean? Like,
don't say. I mean, you can say it in the clubhouse. Don't say it to the press.
Yeah,
oh, dude.
Yeah.
There's so many comments during this whole series that were like, don't you guys have a media guy that preps you for answering questions like this? Because some of these answers,
there are two stories to this ALCS. There is story one: the Astros are a really good baseball team and played better than the Yankees in large part because they have a much better pitching staff.
Yes.
There is a second part of it, which is the Astros got a lot of breaks because, well, every team that wins a short series gets a lot of breaks.
Sure.
That takes nothing away from them. And, Paul was back here. The Phillies got breaks too, as did, everybody. But that led to tons of frustration from the Yankees that was just sort of palpable and, had built up since 2017. Is part of the expectations of the Yankees that, there are 27 successful seasons in the history of that franchise, and then there are the unsuccessful seasons, which is a mentality that you're just going to kill yourself over. And
Severino also probably was on the IL when they had that media training. He's been on the IL a lot.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I mean, I've often said it. I know maybe it's a loser's mentality, but baseball cannot be all or nothing. It is too hard of a sport and it's too long. And it's why I know, Ed, you and I have texted about this. I don't think you'll ever see us get rid of divisions because you have to have something that recognizes what 162 games looks like.
Agree. Yeah.
Daryl,
in general in the sport, there's too much mentality. And this is particularly true on sort of Twitter and with more of the sort of local talk radio host columnist guy. It's all about whether you win the championship or not.
Yeah,
we're in a tournament right now. The Astros are doing very well. They're doing well for two reasons. One is they're a really good baseball team with lots of players, and again, they've gotten a lot of breaks to go their way.
But at the same time, though, listen, this is why you play 162 games.
Yeah,
you earned your way to get to that top spot.
Yeah,
for that very same reason. The Dodgers did it; they lost.
Yeah,
right. I mean, the Braves were number 2. They won the division. Yeah. They lost. So listen, I don't want to hear we play more games. Yeah. You know what? Should have played better.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I mean, making the playoffs is an accomplishment. It should be an accomplishment. I think
Absolutely.
That's why people were upset with adding 2 more spots.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, but ultimately it's better for the game because more teams are more engaged longer in the season. But making the playoffs is the accomplishment. Every one of us can tell you, and most baseball fans can tell you, once you get there, yes, you want to win every series, you want to win every game, but the reality is only one team gets to do that, and that doesn't make the other 12 teams or 11 teams unsuccessful. That's just not how baseball works.
Agree.
You've got division champions. There need to be division champions. There probably, when we expand, will be another division added to each league, if the concept of leagues even continues, which is a whole different podcast.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but winning is important, but the game is important, and that's what's so beautiful about baseball is you play for basically 6 months, 7 months out of the year. if you're successful. And it's great, and it's a grind, and it's hard, and that's the beauty of it, is that as Bart Giamatti said, it's designed to break your heart, because at the end of the year, there's only one team that can say they won the championship, but you've got to find your victories somewhere in there along the way.
Right. I mean,
this series was the March Madness for us, right? There's like this whole playoff series. Like there was games every single hour. Like, I mean, it was great. I don't understand why a lot of people are complaining about it, because it was an absolute wonderful couple of weeks so far of nothing but great baseball.
Complaining about it are Yankee fan and Dodger fan, because look, I think you have to be separate, right? Like the year the Astros won the World Series, they weren't the best team in baseball. No. The year they lost it 2 years later, they were. You have to, if you separate the two, appreciate the chaos that can come from the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Paul thought his team was dead halfway through the season.
My team is in the playoffs because the Brewers blew a lead to the Marlins in the last week of the season.
They traded Josh Hader.
And as much as I love Bud Selig and the whole Selig family, nothing could make me happier.
Listen, the Brewers blew the lead. Phillies are in, right? I mean, the White Sox imploded.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians won the division, right? Like, I mean, it's just it went their way, and look what happened.
Hey, Daryl Mitchell, though, like if you read his comment, he just pointed out, I think, the thing that separates the Astros from these other teams, the ability to say, all right, Garrett, you don't fit our financial model anymore, Toodles. Springer, I know for Andy and I, was the big gut punch for us. Like, right, love that guy. And then to say goodbye to Correa, saying we got this guy in the minors who I think had like 30 at-bats above AA, right, Andy?
37.
Jesus.
Can I just say about Josh Hader, by the way, he's been really good in the playoffs. Super glad he was still warming up when Bryce Harper hit that home run.
Yeah, that was a really interesting decision. And of course, when I saw Josh Hader on TV, I immediately cursed Carlos Gomez's name, because that's how he eventually ended up in San Diego. We got really aggressive about wanting to do something in 2016 and ended up with Gogo, who quit in the middle of the season. It was just Josh Hader should be the Astros closer right now.
Yeah,
could be the Astros closer right now.
Speaking of closing, I just spent 300.
You can win 4 pennants in 6 years, and there's still one that got away.
Of course,
still a bad deal out there.
Come on, it's like going on about baseball. Look at old girlfriends. We all do it.
I want to point out that the let's see, the seats over here over my right shoulder are from Veteran Stadium.
I see.
Those are.
I still see a mark from when someone threw a battery at Troy Aikman. Just
we were throwing batteries at JD Drew, not Troy Aikman.
No,
throwing them at Michael Irvin in the Cowboys games. We all know that. That's fine. Yeah. We all appreciate that. Paul, on that theme here, I have an important question for you.
I'm ready.
I live in the New York City metropolitan area, and therefore I have been wanting the Phillies to win because that would allow me to, assuming I'm willing to take away my child's Christmas, to buy a scalp ticket to go to Citizens Bank Park and watch the World Series.
Tell your kids y'all are celebrating Hanukkah this year. It's easy.
My kid is, and the good news is my kid is Jewish, so that'll work.
Yeah. All right.
You get socks and a dreidel. Shut up.
Absolutely.
Well,
there's some chocolate coins in there too. So
So you're.
My wife is a Red Sox fan, and so when I mentioned this here, she got a little skeptical. Says, "Well, I know our fan base. We're a little nuts.
Yeah,
I know the Yankees fan base, and I know you've been to Yankee Stadium to playoff games, and they're a little nuts. But then there is Philly fan.
Yeah, that's a whole different level of fandom.
And I said to my wife, I'm 6'4" and 300 pounds. Who's going to mess with me? And my wife says, Philly fan.
Yeah.
So what arguments can I make to persuade my wife to let me go to a game?
I think it's overblown. I think it's a media narrative, right? Like, I mean, James, I saw that you retweeted a clip of a Astros fan getting carried out of Yankee Stadium on a stretcher tonight, right? Like, if that had happened in Philadelphia, it's all anyone would be talking about, right? Like, so, when people talk about Phillies fans, they're like, you guys booed Santa Claus. It was 60 years ago. It was 60 years ago, the booing Santa Claus thing was.
Can we get over
First of all,
already?
Santa Claus had a bad year that year back in
The
1962.
drunk guy that they pulled, they actually had to cancel. There's a whole story behind this. They had to cancel the Christmas parade at an Eagles game when the Eagles were terrible, right? Like they were like 2-13. They were doing a parade, and they had to cancel.
Just like the Browns did their 0-16 parade.
This was they were just doing something for Christmas. They were just trying to get people to the ballpark or to the stadium, right? And so the parade couldn't make it because there was this massive snowstorm. So everyone's already throwing a bunch of snowballs, right? Like at in the stadium. And they like essentially to have a Christmas parade at halftime, they pulled this like skinny drunk dude out of the crowd and put a Santa costume on him and like walked him out on the field. And people booed and threw snowballs, of course. So A, there's background to this story, and B, it was 60 years ago.
It was 60 years.
And
The
the
lesson
story is that
is
guy then tried out for the Eagles special teams and made it, and then they made a Disney film out of it. It was fantastic.
And then Mark Wahlberg played him in the movie. It was great. Yeah.
Cheesesteaks all around.
Battery thing that was in the 90s, right? Like that was literally the last millennium. So I don't know.
I believe the moral of the story about booing Santa Claus is that Philadelphia fans have high standards and fans from other fan bases not so much.
But I think there's a
Ryan,
difference
my very
between
first ever Hanukkah present. That my buddy.
Awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between the verbal abuse you might get at a stadium, knowing there's some level of good naturedness behind it, versus worrying about having to watch your back urinating in a public restroom.
Yeah, no,
because that's where we're at with a Yankees fan.
I think this series is going to be a lot more like the Braves series, where there was some good-natured back and forth, and but I really felt like it was pretty mutually respectful on Twitter, which for Twitter is a big deal.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, listen, there are some knucklehead Phillies fans. There are some knucklehead Astros fans, right?
There's some knucklehead
100%.
fans for every fan base.
You'll probably see some tired trash can jokes, right? Like, I mean, that it's bound to happen. But hopefully,
all trash can jokes are tired. Just let you know. We've had them for 5 straight years.
A good way to make a new one, though. That would be pretty impressive. So, I think Philly fans are super proud of the reputation they have now for the bank being a tough place to play, right? Like I think they think San Diego walked in there and got rattled in a way that they did not against.
Now, hold on, Paul. Hold on. According to Blake Snell, y'all were just lucky you don't have to go back to San Diego because
it's true. The pressure was on us. That's true, according to Blake Snell.
Has Blake Snell
Hold on.
anything
The
in
premise
public
of that is
conditions?
the premise of that Blake Snell statement is someone didn't want to go to San Diego. Yeah.
Right.
Sign me up to go play a game in San Diego right now with that crappy weather that they were playing in.
twist my arm.
Yep. So my girlfriend is a Red Sox fan as well, by the way. So it's I know how that goes. But I think you'd be fine. I mean, there were people in Padres gear. I did not see a single person in Braves gear during the Braves series. Saw some Padres stuff. It would be different if you were a division rival, right? Or if there was like history there, if this, and I do think, if you're a Braves fan or a Mets fan, you don't show up in Philadelphia, making a huge deal out of rooting, for your team. I think Phillies fans right now realize they're playing with house money, and it's everything that happens from this point on is gravy, right? Like, I mean, I haven't seen any Vegas odds yet, but I can only assume the Astros are massive favorites going into the series.
Yeah, but we were favorites last year. We were favorites at 19. We are all many of us are dreading the idea of facing another 80-win NL East team that came up through the wild card. Do you have a story about how sometime in May you were 20 games under 500 and managed to come all the way back?
We were 22-29 when George Girardi got fired. We've
fired ex-Yankee who admitted on national television that they stole signs, but nobody seems to give a shit.
I mean, you might as well be Pennywise at this point. We all know you're there, but nobody can do anything about it.
There are two stats about the Phillies record that are like completely contradictory and somehow both true. We had a losing record against any team that was not the Marlins, Nationals, or Reds. And we had a winning percentage since that 22-29 mark. Our winning percentage would extrapolate out to a 95 win season. So I don't know how those two things are simultaneously true, but they somehow are.
All I know is you talked about having a certain degree of natural feeling like you're going to lose. That's definitely the Astros mentality, particularly for the three of us. Like what it makes our show stand out amongst other Astros fans is we've actually been Astros fans for longer than they've been good. So
yeah, I mean, and I know we get made fun of a little bit on Twitter for the people who listen, but we literally send texts to one another about the 81st win and the 82nd win in each season, because one's not a losing season.
Yeah.
And that's like a big deal. And the next one's a winning season. That's even more rare.
You guys are where the Phillies were in 2011, right? Like you've been back to the playoffs 5 years in a row. It's starting to feel like old hat, right? Like 6 years in a row now, I guess. And 6. Sorry. Well, the Phillies had been 5 years in a row in 2011, and then they had a 10
two Astros to get you there. It took Roy Oswalt and Billy Wagner, but whatever.
It's true.
But who's counting?
But
hold on. This is Brad Lidge erasure.
Oh man, Brad Lidge.
Billy Wagner. You're right.
So Amy, my girlfriend, tweeted out. She said, "Go Phillies," and she just found a random Phillies GIF. And it turned out to be Brad Lidge striking out Eric Hinsky to finish the 2008 World Series. That's like, hey, that's a good one to pick.
Hey, I'm glad he was able to do something somewhere.
Perfect 48 for 48 in 2008. Not a single blown save.
Yeah, we all sat there in Houston going, where was this guy? What the hell is going on there? Oh, hey, you want Roy Oswalt too while you're at it? Oh, you got him. That's
wish
right.
Wish we could have done more with Roy Oswalt. We had Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels. Yeah, Cliff Lee, all on the same team. Holy smokes!
Hey, got a question for you, Paul. Hey, Phillies fan dude, what was your initial reaction when Girardi was gone and Thompson takes over?
I was with Ken Rosenthal. I didn't think it was going to make a difference. I thought we had a overpaid team that was underperforming. You know, it's you have to understand. Like I live in a constant state of pessimism about Philadelphia sports. My dad asked me this morning. He's like, "What's your prediction for the game today?" And I said, Dad, they're 8-2 in the playoffs, and I thought they were going to lose all 8 of the games that they won. So I'm assuming they're going to lose today too. And so yeah, they were 22-29. They had just gotten, I think, swept by the Cubs, right? Like, I mean, it was terrible, right? Like they were just listless. The Mets were running away with the division. We had this guy Colin coming on our weekly Wednesday night show. Ed and I did, who would come in and razz me about the Mets, and so yeah,
every single time, every week, nonstop.
I was like, thank God I love minor league baseball because I got something to do this season.
So who is the Phillies bad guy? And I'll give you, I think for most Astros fans, we know that if we go to an opposing park, Jose Altuve is going to get booed. None of that's warranted.
Right.
But Alex Bregman, objectively, if he was on any other team, I would assume he's an asshole, but he's our asshole. So it's kind of one of these things. And I think he's mellowed out a little bit, but it's kind of the Roger Clemens thing when we used to have him. Hated Roger Clemens before he was in Houston, tolerated him because he was good when he was in Houston. And once he went back to the Yankees, it's like, eh. But who's the guy that Houston fans are going to get behind really not liking?
Oh, it's got to be Harper, right? Like he always gets the overrated chants. He always gets the boos when he was on the Nationals, he was the guy I would boo, right? I remember going to a game with a date in Colorado, and Harper was on the Nationals, and I'm like, oh, we got to boo this guy when he comes up. And she's like, why are we booing him? And I was like, because he's super good. She's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, yes,
it was hard for me because the few games I've watched, everybody like Schwarber looks like a good guy. He looks like a guy you want to have a beer with.
Yep.
Most Schwarber of your team looks like that, though.
I'll give you a name for me as a Cleveland fan.
That Harper wears like the head thing with the Philly fanatic on it. Yep. Like, okay, I can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Castellanos,
huh?
The right fielder.
Yep.
Well, there's been a high drive to left field.
Yeah. That's just you just don't want like Morgan Freeman to die or something, right? Like you just need Castellanos to not have a home run because every time he does, there's some disaster.
If the Fox broadcast starts up some sort of tribute when Castellanos is on deck,
just turn off the TV immediately.
Yeah, like we know what's going to happen. There needs to be someone. There needs to be a fan who runs on the field at that moment. We need some sort of system to prevent that.
That meme was like my favorite thing in the world, though. Like anytime someone started something serious and then said, and they interrupted halfway through and saying, "There's a deep drive to left field."
I'm the guy who beat that to death. I beat that meme.
So good. So good.
I have it copied on a note on my iPhone in case I want to do it again.
Bring it out again.
The best tweet I've ever seen about Bryce Harper and why he's hateable is there's a picture when he was with the Nationals of like there's some sort of intense confrontation and a guy is pulling him back.
Mm-hmm.
And the caption in this picture is, looks like Bryce Harper looks like a villain from an 80s movie where his friend is telling him to save it for the slopes.
That's a good line.
That's who Bryce Harper looks hateable. Bryce Harper has lived this life, right, where he was blessed with ungodly baseball talent that was apparent to everybody since he was 10.
Yeah. How old was he when
Not
he was
like, he's the best kid on his little league. It's like, I think this is the best 10-year-old kid in the country.
Yeah.
He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 16.
Wow.
And oddly, he has done everything but live up to the hype, which is mostly an indictment of the hype, right?
Yeah.
Basically, the indictment on Bryce Harper from that is, oh no, the person who should have been in Sports Illustrated at 16 is Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think that narrative changes today?
Made a move for Harper, right? Like, was it 19 that they were seriously thinking about making a move for him?
Yep.
And it would have been very interesting to see how that would have played out.
Yeah.
Do you think the Harper narrative changes with this series?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he continues to play the way he's played so far in the playoffs, 100%.
He earned that MVP.
Yeah.
He earned it. He earned that MVP.
Because I was just texting like Paul through his whole series, just my gut reactions to things, and I just texted, "Wow."
The funny thing is that I was watching the broadcast was like 15 seconds behind for some reason. Like I have no idea why. So my phone would just explode when anything happened, and I would be like, "Well, something's about to happen here, right?" Like, I have no idea what it is, but my phone is going crazy right now. And then, sure enough, it was usually good. It was usually a Rhys Hoskins 2-run home run.
I kept my wife kept telling me, it's like, tell Paul to calm down. I could hear him screaming all the way over here every time something happened.
Yeah, the cat is no longer speaking to me.
Oh, both series were good. I'm glad that the teams that did it. I feel a little bad about the Padres just because, right? They're the Padres. You couldn't really hate them. But the Yankees, I'm happy they're not there. Simple as that.
I tell you what, the only thing I have about the Padres for me was so many straight up hateable guys. Like Mike Clevenger saying today that this was the worst day of his life, worse than when you publicly dumped your family on social media. Like, that was worse than that. Like,
hold on. I thought the day that Mike Clevenger made me that terrible latte. Well, that was the worst day of my life because of the other stuff.
Clevenger, Jesus, I never thought I would have been happy when he left Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah, that was a filthy staff for a while, but yeah.
Hey, Andy's about to get out of here, so Andy, good to see you. I always feel like Jim brings.
Yeah, I mean, we will wrap it up. It's definitely 1 in the midnight for me and 1 for these guys. So, first of all, to everybody for jumping on, thanks for jumping on. Go Astros. For everybody watching, we'll reshare this in the morning. I'm going to sleep late, and we'll be back with our World Series preview at the end of the week. Go Stros, everybody.
Go Stros.
I can't, but go teams.
Sports ball.
I hope every team has a good time.
and orange slices for everybody.